And welcome to another episode of the Tar Heels Insider Podcast. I'm your host, Grant Chachere, bringing you all your latest news on your Tar Heels of North Carolina, baby. Today is a great day of college football, although North Carolina is not playing today, unfortunately, which kind of sucks because I got to find stuff to do today. So I'm just be out here in my wonderful apartment right here in Chapel Hill, North Carolina. It's a great apartment, by the way. I love my apartment. And we're just going to be watching college football all day. And also get a chance to watch my LSU Fighting Tigers. So there's something. So at least there's something exciting happening today. But unfortunately, I think the most exciting part of my day is to cover the North Carolina Tar Heels, despite all of the inglorious things that they have done during the 2025 campaign. Of course, your Tar Heels are 2-2. They've won 2 games against Charlotte and Richmond, games that they were supposed to win, but they struggled throughout both games. I mean, yes, Richmond was a 41-6 blowout, but they only gained 317 yards of offense, right? And and then against Charlotte, they only gained about 303. And they've only gotten past 300 yards twice, and those are the 2 games I just mentioned, and it was barely. This offense is bad. Of course, we mentioned this before. They are the worst Power 4 offense in the country statistically. They only average 263.5 yards per game. So this is a very, very bad offense. Of course, the defense is improved. But even the defense, they're bad in situational football. On 3rd down, on 4th down, they give up stupid penalties. They give up a 75, 80-yard touchdown drive in the final minute when UCF didn't even have a timeout. So there's just not a very good team. Although I like the defense. I think the defense is improving. And you're starting to see the defense line especially improve. There's just not a good football team. And a lot of that is because of bad player eval during the offseason. They loaded up on transfer portal guys. Although, if you look at the transfer portal in the spring, it wasn't really that great. It really wasn't. I mean, that's what coaches have been saying. We're saying all throughout the offseason. Like, it wasn't a great transfer portal class, at least during the spring, right? So it's just, it's a mess. Bad player eval, bad coaching decisions, not knowing your personnel for weeks in the season. It's just not a very – North Carolina is not in a very good situation, whether it's stuff that they can't control or whether it's stuff they can control. It's just not a very, very good situation, right? And a lot of blame could be put on Belichick. And I know the administration came out with a statement saying they're going to back them and blah, blah, and they preaching patience, but it's hard for the fans to preach patience when you gave them $50 million over a 5-year period. That type of money is a win-now money. Like, to offer a collegiate head coach $10 million per year, that is win-now money more than anything else. I remember, and I'm bringing this up because of my experience with LSU, when LSU fired Ed Orgeron, and they hired Brian Kelly, they gave Brian Kelly a 10-year, $100 million contract. That's not to keep him there for 10 years. That's for him to win. You brought in Bill Belichick to win. And this month of October, you have to win, right? Look at this. Let's just go off the schedule. Of course, you got Clemson first week next Saturday. A noon game. This was a game that a lot of people had circled on the schedules as one of the top games in the ACC because you had Bill Belichick, You expected them to be, have a little bit more hype around them. You expected the Tar Heels to at least look like a contender for the ACC title. Then you got Clemson, who was seen as a national title contender because of the amount of dudes they brought back. Look at their defensive line with Peter Woods. Just that defense is elite. And on top of the offense, you brought back Kate Klubnik. You have a great receiving core, and you really expected the Tigers to do great things. But then for both teams. So it hasn't looked great. So it's kind of like a toilet bowl situation for both teams because these two teams have been looking really bad. So it's just not a very, very good game. And for a lot of people around the country, it's not even just Carolina fans and people around the Carolina media. This is around the country. Everyone thinks it's going to be a get-right game for Clemson. And it might be. Because North Carolina's not a very good team right now. And also Clemson has way more, even though they're 1-3, they have way more talent than North Carolina does. Way more. Way more. I mean, go from the position, if you look at every single position, Carolina's beat. Quarterback, running back, wide receiver, offensive line, defensive line, linebacker, DBs. And as great as Carolina's front seven is, they're not nearly as good as Clemson's. Not nearly as good as Clemson. And I think they have a solid group of guys in their front seven. But, I mean, it's not a good game. Then, of course, the next following week, you get a bye week. Then you got Virginia. Well, not Virginia. You got Cal. Right? I know Cal got shut out 34 or 35 to nothing against San Diego State. But Cal's still a good team. And then also, I know this about San Diego State. San Diego State is always given the traditional Pac-12 schools problems. They gave, when my dad was coaching at Cal, they gave us problems. When my dad was coaching at, he never coached Stanford, but when, they beat Stanford. When Stanford went, and that same year, Stanford went to the Pac-12 championship. They beat Arizona State. They give a lot of teams problems. That's a very good mid-major program. So I'm going to take it lightly because Cal will play Boston College later tonight. So I'm going to judge them based off of that game rather than the San Diego State game. Because San Diego State actually has a solid program, and I know that. But you're going to Berkeley. You're traveling 3,000 miles to Berkeley, California, which is in the San Francisco Bay Area. That is a haul. And when that game is kicked off, it'll be 7:30 in California. Guess what time will be in North Carolina? 10:30. So you got a time adjustment. In California, or Cal, the Cal Golden Bears, they got some dudes, man. Their quarterback's really good. They got some dudes on their team. And I don't really like Carolina's chances in that game either. I think it'll be close. But I don't really like the Tar Heels' chances in that game. Then you welcome in Virginia. Virginia just beat Florida State last night. And they look good. And I knew Virginia and really Virginia should be undefeated right now. They should have beat NC State. They're up by double digits against NC State. And they blew it. But then they won the next two games, including Clemson, including Florida State last night. That's a very good team. And Chandler Morris is a really good quarterback, y'all. Really good quarterback. And I just can't see them I can't see the Tar Heels beating Virginia. That's a really good Virginia team. Then the following week, you got to go to Syracuse. And yes, I know Syracuse lost their quarterback. I know it sucks that they lost Stephen Jelly because Stephen Jelly is a baller. He was a baller, y'all. But you still have to go to Syracuse. Syracuse is a very tough place to play. It's called the Loud House for a reason. And if Ricky Collins could turn out to be a somewhat decent quarterback, I don't like Carolina's chances in that game either. I mean, because it shows you that offense can plug in whatever quarterback they want and it can be successful. We saw that last year with Kyle McCord. And Kyle McCord was the nation's leader in passing yards. He broke all kinds of records at Syracuse. Then you brought in Stephen Jelly, and Stephen Jelly started balling out. He was a big reason why they beat Clemson. So if Ricky Collins comes in and plays well in that system, I don't expect North Carolina to win the game on the road either. I mean, so this is a really critical month for North Carolina. If North Carolina wants to be bowl eligible, they would have to finish the month of October 500, which is doable to a degree. It's not likely, but it's doable. Clemson is on the downslopes, so maybe can you catch Clemson off guard, maybe? If they're not pissed off by now, maybe you could catch Syracuse slipping. Same thing with Virginia, or same thing with Virginia. So if North Carolina wants to get to where it wants to go, it has to finish 500. It has to, because you got Stanford and Wake Forest. Those are arguably your two most winnable games for the rest of the stretch. If you can win 2 games in the month of October, that can set you up for being bowl eligible. You have to go 2-2. If you don't go 2-2, this will be a disaster of the season. Because I think they can only win 2 more games after that, because they're not being Duke and they're not being NC State. They're just not. But that's going to wrap it up for today's podcast. It's going to be a little quick one because I think we all want to watch college football. So thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. My name is Grant Chachere, your beat writer for the North Carolina Tar Heels on SI. Make sure to check us out on social media at Tar Heels on SI. Make sure to check us out on Facebook, North Carolina Tar Heels on SI, and also make sure to check out our website as well. Thank you guys so much for watching. You guys have a great rest of your day.